let's take a look at the cover. So I don't love it, I don't like it, because Harry looks at the same time like a baby and like an old man. Also, his hair is brown for I don't know what reason. And yeah, I just don't like it. In Harry Potter, I realized that I'm not as fast a reader as I thought I was. Turns out I can only read maybe like 300, 400 pages. So I don't know how I'll be able to finish all the books. Maybe I'll just read the last one in between the days when I'll be watching the marathon. The mistakes, of course, there were some, but I think it's not as bad as in the previous ones because they were much smaller, and considering how thick is Goblet of Fire, it's pretty good actually. I think the beginning was the worst. So the first one is Nagini. We could debate the translation between Nagini, how it was translated in the original version, and Nagini, because this word originates from Sanskrit and it means snake. Naga is male snake and the female snake is Nagi or Nagini or Nagini, I guess. So I think it would be alright to translate it into Nagini or Nagini, but they translated it to Nagaina, which is weird. I don't really get it where they got the idea to transform it like that. Of course, they couldn't miss their dumbest mistake that they make in every book with Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, where they switched them. But in the fourth book, it reached a whole new level. In the scene where Weasleys want to take Harry to the Burrow, and Mrs. Weasley is not there. It's only Mr. Weasley and some of the boys. So the translator actually says that Mrs. Weasley says something about electric kettle. And if you know Mr. Weasley, you know that he should be saying that. So yeah, it was really stupid. And I know this mistake was in the first version, but they could have corrected it. But with that, they made it even worse, because instead of Mr. Weasley saying eclectic, they make him say electric, which is not how it's supposed to be. He's supposed to be making a mistake, so I don't really get it. Then Bertie bought every flavored beans. They somehow translated not beans but peas. In English it's not really used, but here it can be a synonym to that kind of candy. But it's now widely known as beans. Why would you just say peas? It's just no. Why? No. And in the first translation, it translated Velas like Velas. It's something now known really well by the fans, but they now turn them into villas. Yes, like the house. Yes, and it's exactly the same word in Lithuanian. So it sounds really stupid, and I don't get it why they did that. If they really wanted to make it like phonetically accurate, they could have made Vila, but it didn't. Of course, I still wouldn't like it, but it would be better. They did improve the giant squid though that's swimming in the Hogwarts lake, so that was good because it was a very confusing term in the first book. A bit sadder to lose some jokes that are in the original books, like English, not the first Lithuanian translation. So when Hermione says that French meal is bouillabaisse, and Ron says bless you, So this completely disappears. He just says thank you. So Lithuanian readers have no idea. Also, that funny scene where Lavender says something about Uranus, like the planet, and Ron says, "Can I see Uranus too?" It's gone, but there's nothing we could do because it's just not working like that in Lithuanian. The Lithuanian readers don't really know that, so they, like me for many years, are confused why she would get mad at them. So that's a shame, but I can't blame the translator in this case. When Hagrid says to Madame Maxima, "Bonjour," but in Lithuanian it's weirdly translated because he says "Bonjour," which is funny because it becomes not like an evening greeting, but like a mouse. So yeah, it's actually funny. Also not a big mistake. If I'm right, not a really correct translation either. When the fat lady changes the password during Christmas to fairy lights, it is translated to will-o-wisp. So I don't know if it's a really big mistake, because I don't know if fairy lights are also something mythical. But it should be associated with Christmas. When Hermione is attacked by Rita Skeeter, and Ron says that she made her a Scarlet Woman, so it's a pretty strong word. And in the Lithuanian translation, it is translated by something like a simple girl, but like in a bit not a nice way, but also not really mean way. It's not different in this translation, but I just wanted to say that. And lastly, when Harry encounters the Sphinx, the creature is translated with a very weird female form, like not at all used. I don't know if it's a word or just the translator made it up, because from the first glance, Google didn't show me any that would be relevant to this meaning. There is another really known word for a female sphinx, but it also seems that sphinx is always a female, but the name, like the general name in Lithuanian for this creature, is a male name. But I don't get it why she didn't use the widely known female name. This is a really gorgeous cover. It's definitely my favorite out of this edition. I love the color play and just everything about it. Compared to the OG covers, the old one is closer to my heart, of course, but still, this is very beautiful. I'm reading that part where Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Luna, and Neville get into the Department of Mysteries, and this book is the hardest to read. It always is, because I know whose death is coming, and he's my favorite character, and I know I will cry. Yeah, I wonder how much I'll cry this time, because it's always different. It just feels so unfair. Why did she have to kill him? Like, yeah, I get Dumbledore, but not him. I'm sad that Harry got so little time with him, and that I got so little time with him. That's why, even though the Order of the Phoenix book is the thickest, which would seem to make it my favorite, but because I just keep thinking about his death throughout the whole book, it just can't be. So yeah, just a few chapters left, and maybe today I can even start Half-Blood Prince. book to read. But I'll read some of the sixth book today. Still, there's some time. It's early evening. It's just depressing to think about series and how just because of one this thing, it's so dark. But anyway, I did find some mistakes, though keeping in mind that this book is really thick, like over 700 pages, it was good. So the first weird translation was changed the disillusionment charm. Well, both of the translations are not really super accurate, like literally, but I like the first one better. Then Luna's dirty blonde hair was translated not like a color dirty blonde, but blonde but dirty. So I don't know, I always thought it's her color dirty blonde. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Then when in English people say oi, like shouting at someone to get their attention, we have hey, but not like hi, just saying, not like a greeting, but just getting their attention, and they left it in one scene, oi. So it was weird because oi in Lithuanian is oops, something like that. But I just want to say, even though it's all sad, I still love these characters so much, and I wish I could just live there in this magical world and know these characters. Then, when I was writing my bachelor, I analyzed some translations, and I hate how sometimes they just shorten the sentence, like take a part of the sentence and just not translate it, just write the first part of the sentence. So it was even a weirder case now, because Hermione was about to roll her eyes, but they didn't even say that. It was like she didn't almost do, but then they didn't see what she didn't almost do. So yeah, that was really funny. There were some mistakes that they just changed to another meaning, like when the poster that Fred and George made of Harry said bad things about Umbridge and stuff, and then after some time it was left saying dung, Umbridge, like one word at a time, and in Lithuanian they made it like it said some gibberish. So it's actually, I think I like the Lithuanian version more because it's funnier. Harry just mumbling whatever sounds. I can't really say if I like more English version or the Lithuanian one, because each has really great moments, and the style just has this specific magic in it. Sometimes the Lithuanian one and sometimes the English one. Then there was a chapter, the center and the sneak, and I didn't really notice at first because I was reading it in Lithuanian, but the sneak is Marietta Edgecombe, the girl that betrayed the Dumbledore's army, and in Lithuanian it was translated as snake. It's not like the word on her face was translated snake. It was sneak, yes, in the Lithuanian version. So it was a very dumb mistake to make, and while it could be potentially passed off as snake, because you know snakes are considered kind of sneaky, so, but in this case it should have been one word, and it is absolutely a mistake. When Harry was studying occlumency with Snape, when Draco entered accidentally and saw that Harry was with him, Snape said that Harry's here to have a little remedial potion, and it's kind of difficult to really understand what he means, and so the translator made it that he's here to drink this remedial potion. But isn't this remedial potion like his additional lessons to get better at potions? So I can't really say that it's bad, but just noticing that. Maybe if you know what he means, you can tell me. Another super dumb mistake was when James Potter was writing Lily's initials, and they were L-E, and I thought, oh my god, she will be Evans, right? Because I remember that in the last one, she was Evans, which means that in Lithuanian it should be I and not E. But guess what? When they said her name, she was Evans. That is such a bad decision. I mean, it's not even a decision, they just miss so many things. Like, just give me that, I will make it good. Then it was another word that Fred Weasley, I think, said, easy, and she translated it to a word I don't even know. But I think it's good, but I don't know this word, and I didn't find it on Google, like at all. There wasn't a word with it. The only result was the Harry Potter. The owls and newts in the Lithuanian translation are translated not with a meaning but by each letter. So it's owls are VMLs, and I forgot the newts. They could say VML in a chapter because it was owls chapter, but they just said exams. And aside from today, I've still got 2 books to read, so I hope I will do it, but if I won't, I will have a little time on the day of the marathon, so I hope I finish them. Also, yes, we know Snape is such an asshole and such a bad human being, but when he joined the Order, couldn't he have been at least a tiny bit softer to Harry? Like, couldn't he evolve? He already served as this hugest asshole in the school. Hey, so it's been more than a month after I postponed talking about the last 2 Harry Potter books. So it's March, and here I am, finishing talking about the books. As the Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows are thicker than most of the books in Harry Potter, they also have more flaws in them, as in translation. I love all the original Harry Potter books, but this translation and corrected version was definitely not corrected but made worse. So St. Mungo's Hospital was translated in the original not phonetically but by the meaning. Maybe it was not an actual meaning, but it still was not just a repeated word, and I got used to that, and it was a unique part of the story that only Lithuanians have. And now the translator somehow came back to the word Seimungus, which in Lithuanian is simply mango, like a fruit. So no, I didn't like that. One of the dumbest corrections was turning in fairy, just translating as zombies. I hated that so much. Like, technically they are zombies, but it just makes it feel like it's some sort of dystopian way or something. And no, zombies are like maybe in Maze Runner or similar type of literary works, and in Harry Potter, zombies, no thank you. And if Joe wrote zombies, then you could translate zombies, but in fairy, no.
Just no, please. And in the original, they were translated very originally and really, really well, I think. It was translated lower forms, so I think it really showed that these were corpses come alive, and zombies? No, it's just too basic. Then the word apparition, when it was in context of someone traveling with someone, apparating. So in the original translation, it was translated really great. It was such a Harry Potter vibe, so I really like that. It was like side ghost jinx or side ghost spell, but this word ghost has its origins more in the folktale kind of atmosphere, and now they just did two people apparition, so it was really simple. And actually in the translation the word apparate is to travel through air. I really like that, and at least that didn't change, but I think it was really simplified when the first one was absolutely well. Then another stupid dumb mistake was literally, I don't know how it is possible to do that, but when you see that he has grey eyes, it means that he has grey eyes, not green. And it was a scene where Draco narrowed his grey eyes, and the translator just wrote that he narrowed his green eyes. And who even looks through these translations? It seems that no editor was involved at all. Then another simplification was trip down Bob Ogden's memory lane, and they just translated down Bob Ogden's lane. So, I mean, it was kind of obvious that it was his memory, but I think it was still important to mention, and it kind of would add a poetical sense to it, because Rowling's writing is really beautiful. It's very creative, poetical, and it's just so pleasant to read, and these simplifications are just so annoying. Then another one was, maybe it's not such a problem, because I think this change doesn't really affect the text that badly, but still, I think it was really funny how it was in the original, so I'll read this. Nothing, said Ron, hastily looking away from the bar, but Harry knew he was trying to catch the eye of the curvy and attractive barmaid, Madame Rismerta, for whom he had long nursed a soft spot. I expect nothing's in the bag getting more fire whiskey, said Hermione waspishly. So this scene was translated something like Hermione asking, where are you looking at? And Ron saying, nowhere. And then it even doesn't follow the same word, nowhere, and just says, I mean, it starts with nothing, because in Lithuanian it's a similar word, but also not the same, obviously. So she says, you won't gain nothing if you take more fire whiskey. So, yeah, I said that it's not such a big deal, but actually I think it is. It changes this wordplay, and I know it's similar, but it's just not the same. Then Dilligrout was originally translated not by the meaning at all, but I got so used to it. It was translated as cement, and yes, I know it's completely not how it's supposed to be, but I got really used to it, and now they translate it by the meaning, and it kind of sounds weird. It's just royal soup. The usual reader would think, why the hell would there be a cement in Hogwarts? Yeah, but you know, it's Hogwarts. All sorts of weird things happen, so why cement couldn't be there? So, I mean, it's maybe a muggle thing, but I kind of like that. But it's not really bad that he changed it, I guess. I don't know how it was in the old translation, but there was this scene with the fat lady, I think, as well, when she or Hermione saying the password said bubbles. So it makes sense to that be during the Christmas period, and it was translated to your health. So, and it was so absolutely awful how Fenrir Greyback was translated just grey. I don't know why. I have no idea why they changed their mind, because he was Greyback in the old translation, but now he just became grey. But in English, it's not that bad, because in Lithuanian, this specific word has this different ending than grey as the usual word. And this has this sort of funny, fairy tale-y wolf vibe, kind of. And how can I take him seriously, be scared of him, when he's called some fairy tale wolf in a funny way? And I just can't take it seriously. I couldn't read those scenes with just him being like that. Then there were a few changes to the sounds, like vowels or the endings of certain surnames, but it wouldn't mean much if I told you in English, so I think it's enough to just know. Then this was the scene when Dumbledore told Harry about Tom Riddle taking those poor kids to the cliff, and how they were scared and they were traumatized by the whole experience. And Dumbledore said, I think the journey alone would have done it. So this means like the journey alone would have been so scary that Tom didn't have to do anything else. And the translator translated it like he could have went alone, which doesn't make sense at all. It's just so weird. I think the translator may not have understood what the author meant all those years ago. But since this edition is like 1 year old, there were so many years that I think she must have thought about a lot of stuff that she may not have done well. And I think this would have been a great opportunity to actually correct a lot of the stuff. And this, how can you not understand this? I mean, what about the editor? What about other people that must have noticed? Because it's not that meaning. Then Aguamenti was changed to Aquamenti, like aqua water, but it's not how it's supposed to be. It's Aguamenti. And actually when I say Aquamenti, especially in Lithuanian, it sounds so strange, and I can't even say it aloud without feeling weird. Then at the end there was the scene when they were guessing who could be RAB. And besides other two names, there was the name Rupert Axe Brookstonton, REB, but in Lithuanian it was translated as if the axe is at the ending, but axe actually starts with a K in Lithuanian. Axe is kirvis, and Brookstonton ends up in the second place. So actually it's not RAB, it's RBK. So I don't know, she could have made changes because it doesn't make sense at all. Not everyone analyzes the books as much as I do. I think no one. But yes, there were a lot of mistakes, but it was still so precious to me to read all these books and to sink in that world. And I wish I could be there longer. I wish I could live in that world. But strangely, this time reading The Half-Blood Prince was one of the hardest. Yes, I always cry about Dumbledore, and I love Harry and Ginny's relationship so much, but it was so hard, that ending. Not just his death, but it was not him dying. It was Hogwarts ending, Fox flying away, and it was so painful. And I realized that only this time I actually realized this. That from the Goblet of Fire, it turned so dark. And I think that the first 3 books can be read by 10-year-olds or younger, but I think you have to be even older to maybe to understand and to take those themes, though I don't think children take it as seriously. I mean, they do take it seriously, but in a different way. Because I remember when I read the books first, the first death and the only death, I think, was Dumbledore that I cried about. And Half-Blood Prince is just this ending to a more or less happy world, and the start of something dark. And it's so terrifying to think that Harry's still a child and he has this burden on him. But I truly loved reading those books again, and I'm so glad I did, because now I'm back again in this whole world, back to these characters, and I love them and I want to write about them. But somehow just reading The Half-Blood Prince was really hard. The ending was really painful. I cried a lot. And after this read, I was thinking, how can I write each time a different review on Goodreads? Because it's different each time. And then, like 2 weeks ago, I just thought I should make just one review, but write each year and my impressions of it. Of course, now it's kind of too late because there aren't really any normal reviews on my Goodreads on Harry Potter. I usually write really accurate reviews, but except for the Harry Potter. Because, I don't know, I thought marking the flaws would be enough, but the next time I'm reading, I will record that. I will do reviews. Literally, this time I reviewed Half-Blood Prince like that. And this time, this book affected me even more than I expected it would, and the ending was more painful than ever. Well, that is not long, but very accurate. And I forgot to show you the cover. It's this one. But don't you think that it's a little bit too spoilery? Because it shows Lily, which should not be in Half-Blood Prince. I think it shows Lily. Maybe it's Ginny, but it shouldn't be Ginny, right? No, it's obviously Lily, because she has this petal that she floated in the 7th book, at the end of the 7th book, which makes me think that it's not a book for first readers, and they think, why the hell is this here? Or maybe she wanted to leave a clue or something. And also, doesn't the silhouette look just like Snape? For me, he does look a lot like Snape, and I think it's supposed to be Snape, but my sister says it could just be a cloaked figure. So okay, I don't know, it could be a cloaked figure. Oh, but also it could be Lily because, Slughorn favored her a lot. But what I don't really like is that how these covers are more like the movies than the books. And with this note, let's get into the 7th book. See what I mean? You see, Harry's scar is on the side instead of in the middle, and okay, his hair is possible, could be just They could be messy. Yeah, okay. But in another book, his hair is clearly so tidy, like in the movie. And in the book, it's all messy, and he can't brush his hair properly. And it's so sad that they forgot that in the movies, but also in the covers. The cover should bring forth the book Harry. That's why I much prefer those covers that were drawn by Mary Grandpré. But I do like this idea that it's like their adventures, their dark adventures hunting Horcruxes, and then there's Hogwarts. Like bright colors, and in a way it could be happiness, but it's too bright, it's war, it's fire. So this symbolism is good, but I don't really like this cover. The only cover that I absolutely adore is the Order of the Phoenix. And the review I wrote for the 7th book was truly an incredible finale to the most wonderful book series. The characters are wonderful, and their development throughout the 7 books shows the growth and magic in its every page. I'm actually not sure if I wrote it now or 2 years ago, but it's still true, and it was so fun to read. I just love this one so much, even if they weren't at Hogwarts, which is the reason why the 7th book is not my favorite, in a way, because I just love their Hogwarts adventures, and also this is the reason why the 1st book is not my favorite in this way, because there's so little time they spend at Hogwarts, and it's mostly just the ending and the beginning, and there's not much of that studying adventure. Yeah, let's get now onto the flaws of the book. The book started with a mistake on the first page. Well, that's just the record, I think. So at the beginning, Snape and another Death Eater, Yaxley maybe, I don't know, were going to the Malfoy Manor, and he saw a peacock there, and they said how Lucius was living with them, like a very rich life, and Lucius is obviously not there. Like, okay, you can think at first that he might be there, but then as you read, you realize that he's already sitting in the freaking room with Voldemort, and it doesn't make sense that the translator translated as if addressing Lucius, because yes, it's different in Lithuanian. You can't just drop a name, you have to know the purpose for it. So that, I think, is a really big mistake, because he was not there at all. Then soon enough, you know who is talking about Charity Burbage, who was teaching Muggle studies in Hogwarts, and he's telling Draco that he would not have taken her classes, because obviously he's a pureblood and they wouldn't go to that kind of subject. So it's pretty clear what he's trying to say. And it's maybe not such a mistake, but he said that you didn't want to go to her classes. So maybe it's kind of similar, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of weird to put it like that. Then there is this other scene of when they're about to turn to 7 Harrys, and it says, Fleur walked over to stand beside him, giving him a soppy, slavish look that Harry hoped with all his heart would never appear on his face again. So, now that I'm reading it, I'm not sure that I understood it so well, because it could be Fleur walked over to stand beside him, like Bill, giving him a soppy, slavish look. So I thought she's looking at him like that, but now that I see, maybe it's giving him a look like she's looking at him slavishly, but it would seem weird that Fleur would look at Bill like that. Yes, I know they're in love and all of that, but it sounds a bit strange. I think Bill would look like that. And Harry wouldn't compare himself to Fleur, would he? He would compare himself to Bill, I think. So it makes sense that Bill looks slavish and soppy. And then the second part, Harry hoped with all his heart that this sort of look would never appear on his face again. Again, this word. So, if not this word, I think that Harry would not want to look like that. But again, so is it Harry that looks slavish? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. But why would he say again? Maybe then on a Bill. That would only make sense that Bill would never look like that again, which makes total sense. And in the translation, it goes like that. Bill's expression turned soppy and slavish, and Harry wished himself from the heart that his face would never look like that. So I think it can be interpreted in correct way, but it does seem that Harry thinks that he wouldn't want himself to look like that, not Bill. But now I think that it's possible that he could be referring to Bill. So maybe it's not such a big mistake like I thought. Then another mistake while addressing a person, but this time it's the opposite, because when someone is addressing Remus, I don't remember, he says just his name, Remus, as in who is it? It's Remus, but not Remus, wait. No, it wouldn't be like that. It was just someone calling to Remus, but actually not saying that. It's definitely a mistake, but some people don't really realize that it is a mistake because some of the older generation are used to saying that, but I really hate when it's written like that. Not in this case, but like even when it's said, it just seems so un-Lithuanian. Then later in the book there was a misphrase. Then Fleur Isabelle Delacour was translated just Fleur Delacour, which I don't know why they hate middle names, because it's not the first time they did that, but okay. Then it was one scene where they referred to pure blood as clean blood, and well, it's not a mistake. I think it was supposed to be pure. Then it was a mistake that I maybe would have made years ago, but not after finishing my translation degree and knowing about Harry Potter, because Ministry of Magic is M-O-M, because Ministry of Magic, which makes absolute sense. But in Lithuanian, you don't need O, it's just M-M. But the translators still translated M-O-M, but you don't need that. And she obviously didn't understand what it was referring to, because it should have been M-M. Because if we translate it literally, it would be like Ministry's Magic. It absolutely makes sense in Lithuanian, but what doesn't make sense is M-O-M. At least years later, she maybe could have thought, but if it's a ministry in UK, it could be that. But no, it couldn't, because it is all translated in Lithuanian. Then Hermione referred to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them as a book, and it was translated beasts instead of animals, because beasts in English can be animals and monsters, but it's not really about that super monstrous monsters, so it makes sense that the original translation and the movie translation is animals, fantastic animals, and where to find them. Of course, it sounds strange in English when I say that, because we are so used to it being beasts, but in that case, beasts are like predators, but Flubberworm is not really that much of a predator, so I think it shouldn't be like that. It was just stupid to not look through the whole text, because obviously there wasn't much work involved. I don't even know what they did it beside the covers. Maybe they wanted to make it look like they did something, but they only ruined it. There was even a grammatical mistake. What the hell? Okay, there were so many more grammatical mistakes in the original, so this was much better, but still they left one, which I think is not so bad, but still they could have made sure that on the anniversary edition they wouldn't leave any mistakes. Of course, the classical Perry instead of Percy, I think in the fourth book maybe. So there was no Perry. No, there was no Perry. It was always Percy. It was a place I knew, so, but I did realize while reading that it was not there, which is good. Then in one place where it was supposed to be Teddy, it was Ted. Teddy Lupin is just Teddy to me, not Ted. So it was weird. I know at one place his name was written as Ted, but in that other it was Teddy, and I don't think they called him Ted more than once, if I'm not wrong. Alright, I found another mistake, so yeah, grammatical mistakes are not so few. I can't. I just saw the last mistake, I had forgotten it, because it was so funny. So Sirius and James call Snape Snivelus, which is similar to Snape, but they changed it from perfectly fitting translation to something both funny and stupid. So in the original it was Jlumba, the one who cries ugly in an ugly way, like it's an ugly word. And it was great because Snivelus, I checked, is the meaning of it. But they changed it to the one that means dumb. Okay, Snape is not dumb, but yeah, sure. They could have thought that, but they didn't. They didn't call him that's associated with dumb. And okay, let's say it could be dumb, but what is dumber is the ending of that word, because that word doesn't exist and the first one does, and it fits really well. And I don't know why they did a stupid thing, because earlier he was not called like that. Yes, in the new edition he was not called like that stupid name. Hey, it's future me here. So I checked the book again, and it turns out that actually it was the same stupid word, but I'm sure that good word was in some other book, so still, no consistency. I know I've said so many times how many mistakes here were stupid and dumb. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I would have done a better job. I'm not saying that the translation is bad, it's incredible, but the new edition, yes, it's bad. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was really amazing to reread those books, and it's a bit unfortunate that I only almost talked about the mistakes that were made in the new edition, but maybe in the future I can do a reread vlog about Harry Potter, and that would be really great to just look at all the things I love about it, because this video would be way too long if I started speaking about all the things that I love. I think for this time it's good to notice how different were those editions, and maybe in the future I can be that person who can make it better. And maybe let me know if there are any other videos of Harry Potter that you would like. Maybe you would like to know more about my bachelor's thesis that I wrote on Harry Potter, or maybe any other thing. So thank you for watching this video, and please like it if you liked it, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Bye!